Hello children, in this video lecture I will explain you chapter 4 of Hornbill. Chapter 4 Landscape of the Soul, written by Nathalie Troveroy. Nathalie Troveroy is an art historian who came in limelight because of her translated work City of Jinns. She is the wife of Belgian ambassador to India and she has traveled various cities of the world with her husband. She holds a master's degree in history of art and archaeology from University of Belgium. She planned to write her next book on Old Delhi architecture like Jama Masjid and Chandni Chowk. About the chapter, let's take an overview of the chapter. The writer contrasts Chinese art with European art by recounting two stories about Chinese art and one story about European art. The Europeans want a perfect likeness, whereas in Asia, art is the essence of life and spirit. Chinese art requires the active participation of the viewer, both physically and mentally, to understand it. Let's know about the characters. Wu Daozi, the 8th century Chinese landscape painter, disappeared inside his last painting. Emperor Zhuangzong. He admired Daozi's painting but was not an active participant in it. Quinton Matse. He was a 15th century Belgian blacksmith who changed his profession to become a delicate realist painter and marry the woman he loved. Children, in this slide I have given expressions which is given in the text with its meaning. You need to write this in your notebook. Let's start explanation of the chapter. A wonderful old tale is told about the painter Wu Daozi who lived in the 8th century. His last painting was a landscape commissioned by the Tang Emperor Zhuangzong to decorate a palace wall. The master had hidden his work behind a screen so only the emperor would see it. For a long while, the emperor admired the wonderful scene, discovering forest, high mountains, waterfalls, clouds floating in an immense sky, men on hilly paths, birds in the flight. Look, sire, said the painter, in this cave, at the foot of the mountain, dwells a spirit. The painter clapped his hands and the entrance of the cave opened. The inside is splendid, beyond anything words can convey. Please let me show your majesty the way. The painter entered the cave, but the entrance closed behind him. And before the astonished emperor could move or utter a word, the painting had vanished from the wall. Not a trace of Wu Daozi's brush was left, and the artist was never seen again in the world. In 8th century, there lived a painter by the name Wu Daozi. Here a wonderful story was told by him. His last painting was a scenery. It was inaugurated by an emperor of Tang dynasty whose name was Zhuangzong. That painting was drawn on the wall of a palace for decoration. The skillful painter had hidden the painting behind a screen. Therefore, only the emperor was able to see the painting. For a long time, the emperor stood in front of painting and appreciated the beautiful painting. It had forests that were looking almost real, high mountains, waterfall, clouds floating in high sky, men walking on parts of hills, and birds flying. The painter told the king that there was a cave at the foot of the mountain. In that cave, a spirit resides. The painter clapped his hands and the door of the cave opened. The painter said that cave was wonderful from inside. Words could not describe its beauty. He requested permission of the king to show the way to the cave to the king. The painter entered the cave. The entrance of the cave closed after he had entered the cave. The surprised king wanted to say something, but even before that, the painting also disappeared. Every sign or indication of the painting disappeared. The painter was never seen in that world again. Such stories played an important part in China's classical education. The books of Confucius and Zhuangzi are full of them. They help the master to guide his disciple in the right direction. Beyond the anecdote, they are deeply revealing of the spirit in which art are considered. Contrast this story or another famous one about a painter who would not draw the eye of a dragon he had painted for fear it would fly out of the painting. With an old story from my native Flanders that I find most representative of Western painting. Such stories had contributed a lot in classical education of China. Confucius and Zhuangzi were two great scholars of China. Their books and teachings were full of such stories. They helped a teacher to guide their students in correct direction. In addition to being a short stories or incidents, these also indicate feelings of people about the art. There is one more famous story given about another painter. He did not make an eye in the painting of a dragon. He thought if he made the eye, the dragon would come alive out of the painting. Here author said that one could compare all the stories given in the chapter with an old story from his native place, Flanders. It is a Flemish region of Belgium country children. The author compares this story with an illustrative story of Western style painting. In 5th century, Antwerp, a master blacksmith called Quincy Matses fell in love with a painter's daughter. The father would not accept a son-in-law in such a profession, so Quintin sneaked into the painter's studio and painted a fly on his latest panel. With such delicate realism that the master tried to sweat it away before he realized what had happened. Quinton was immediately admitted as an apprentice into his studio. He married his beloved and went on to become one of the most famous painters of his age. These two stories illustrate what each form of art is trying to achieve: a perfect illusionistic likeness in Europe, the essence of inner life and spirit in Asia. Antwerp is a town in Belgium. In 5th century, there lived a blacksmith whose name was Quintin Matses. He fell in love with her daughter of a painter, but father of the girl was not ready to accept him as his son-in-law because he was a blacksmith. One day, Quintin went into the painting room of the painter. The painter had decided an area or a frame where he was to make a new painting. Quintin drew a fly in that panel. It was so finely drawn that it looked a real fly. The painter tried to kill the fly with a flat object. Then he understood that it was a painting. The painter was so impressed that he gave admission to Quentin in his studio as a trainee. Quentin married the girl he loved. He became a famous painter of his era, and these two stories represent the difference in type of artwork present in China and Western countries. The artwork in Western countries believed in creating a three-dimensional reality, while in China and Asia the main theme was related to inner life and inner feelings. In the Chinese story, the emperor commissions a painting and appreciates its outer appearance, but the artist reveals to him the true meaning of his work. The emperor may rule over the territory he has conquered, but only the artist knows the way within. Let me show the way, the Tao, a word that means both the path or the method, and the mysterious works of the universe. The painting is gone, but the artist has reached his goal beyond any material appearance. In the Chinese story, the emperor had inaugurated the painting. He appreciated and understood the outer appearance only, but the artist showed him the true meaning of his work. The emperor is certainly the ruler of the area of land he had won, but the inner aspects and peace of life is known only to the artist. The painter had told the emperor that he would show the path to him. The word Tao is the name of the painter. It also means path or the method and strange works of this universe. The painting had disappeared, but the artist achieved his goal. That was much beyond the physical limits of this universe. A classical Chinese landscape is not meant to reproduce an actual view, as would a Western figurative painting, whereas the European painter wants you to borrow his eyes and look at a particular landscape exactly as he saw it. From a specific angle, the Chinese painter does not choose a single viewpoint. His landscape is not a real one, and you can enter it from any point, then travel in it. The artist creates a path for your eyes to travel up and down, then back again in a leisurely movement. This is even more true in the case of the horizontal scroll, in which the action of slowly opening one section of the painting, then rolling it up to move on to the other, adds a dimension of time which is unknown in any other form of painting. It also requires the active participation of the viewer, who decides at what pace he will travel through the painting. A participation which is physical as well as mental. The Chinese painter does not want you to borrow his eyes. He wants you to enter his mind. The landscape is an inner one, a spiritual and conceptual one. Conceptual space. A conventional traditional Chinese painting did not draw the exact view, while a Western painting derived from the real object as seen, its view. The European painter wanted to draw his painting the way he had seen a scene. He wanted the viewer of the painting to see exactly what he had seen himself. Chinese painter did not believe that every person should have the same view. Hence, the painting made by the Chinese painter may not truly represent the current real condition. The author told his readers that readers can look at his painting from different angle, different perspective and different thought process. Then the author suggested that without any hurry, readers, viewers, spectators could look at each portion of the painting. That would help the readers or viewers to understand complete meaning of the painting. When a viewer moved his gaze horizontally on the painting, he felt that one section after the other was opening up for his viewing. When he moved his gaze vertically up, he felt as if the painting was entering into another time zone. Such feeling was not possible in painting of any other culture. To attain such a deeper understanding, the viewer also needed to actively participate. The viewer decided the speed at which he would view and try to understand. That was physical participation as well as mental participation. The Chinese painter did not want that everybody should see only his viewpoint. He wanted that every viewer should exercise his own thought process to understand the painting. The scene or the landscape was seen from the inner feeling and understood as per your thoughts process. This concept is expressed as shen shui, literally mountain water, which used together represent the word landscape. More than two elements of an image, these represent two complementary poles reflecting the Taoist view of the universe. The mountain is yang, reaching vertically towards heaven, stable, warm, and dry in the sun, while the water is yin, horizontal, and resting on the earth, fluid, moist, and cool. The interaction of yin, the receptive feminine aspect of universal energy, and its counterpart yang, active and masculine, is of course a fundamental notion of Taoism. What is often overlooked is an essential third element, the middle void, where their interaction takes place. This can be compared with the yogic practice of pranayama. Breathe in, retain, breathe out. The suspension of breath is the void where meditation occurs. The middle void is essential. Nothing can happen without it. Hence, the importance of the white, unpainted space in Chinese landscape. The concept Shen Shui is known as mountain water. When these two words are used together, its meaning becomes scenery or landscape. These are these are not merely two aspects of an image. They support each other to represent views of Taoist about the world. Yang represents mountain in Chinese. It rises vertically up towards heaven. It represents stability, warmth, and dryness of the sun. Water is called yin in Chinese. It represents liquid, moistness, and cool. Yin is considered a female aspect of the energy of the universe. Yang is considered a male equivalent part of the universal energy. The interaction between two is the fundamental belief of Taoism. Between these two forces of universe, there is a big gap. This gap is the third essential part of the universal energy and it is very often neglected. This can be compared with Vedic practice of pranayama. While doing pranayama, one learns technique of breathing in and breathing out. Between these two activities for a short, while no activity happens. That is the time of true meditation or prayers. This period of no activity is essential. Nothing can happen in this world without it. Therefore, Chinese art gives importance to the white, unpainted space in the paintings. This is also where man finds a fundamental role in that space between heaven and earth. He becomes the conduit of communication between both poles of the universe. His presence is essential even if it's only suggested far from being lost or oppressed by the lofty peaks. He is, in Francois Chang's wonderful expression, the eye of the landscape. In this gap or emptiness, a human being achieves its basic function. It is considered a place between heaven and earth. A human being thus becomes a means of communication between these two parts of universe. Presence of human being is essential in this universe, even if it is merely indicated or suggested, still it would be better than being absent or restrained by the high peaks. A famous Chinese philosopher, Francois Chang, has called man the eye of the landscape. It is a human being who sees and appreciates the world. Now, children, I will read one more article, Getting Inside, Outside Art. This is a title of an article which is written by Brinda Suri in Hindustan Times on 28th August 2005. When French painter Jean Dubuffet mooted the concept of art brut in the 1940s, the art of the untrained visionary was of minority interest. From its almost veiled beginnings, outsider art has gradually become the fastest growing area of interest in contemporary art internationally. This article, she began with the explanation of the term art brut. She had written that in 1940, a painter from France, Jean Dubuffet, started the term art brut. It means art by an outsider or art by a person who has not received formal training. During that time, less number of people took notice of formally untrained but creative people. The outsider art was initially not practiced openly, but gradually people of present era started taking more interest in it and even at the international level. This genre is described as the art of those who have no right to be artists, as they have received no formal training, yet show talent and artistic insight. Their works are a stimulating contrast to a lot of mainstream offerings. This category of art is from those who do not have right to pursue work of artists because they had not received any formal training. Though they did not have received any training, they have talent and understanding of an artist. Their works were like an encouragement or creative, while the work of people belonging to the main group did have anything new. Around the time Dubuffet was propounding his concept in India, an untutored genius was creating paradise. Years ago, The little patch of jungle that he began clearing to make himself a garden sculpted with stone and recycled material is known to the world today as the Rock Garden at Chandigarh. While Dubuffet was proposing and explaining his concept about outsider art, we could talk about a person here who had not received any formal training, was creating marvelous art in India. Many years ago, he started clearing a small area of jungle. In that area, he started installing statues carved out of a stone and made by using reusable material. The whole world knew that place as Rock Garden of Chandigarh. Its 80-year-old creator director Nek Chand is now hailed as India's biggest contributor to outsider art. The 58th issues of Spring 2005 of Raw Vision, a UK-based magazine pioneer in outsider art publications, features Nek Chand and his rock garden sculpture Woman by the Waterfall on its anniversary issues cover. Nek Chand, 80-year-old person, is the person who created Rock Garden. He is its director also. He is regarded as the biggest contributor from India towards outsider art. Raw Vision magazine of UK is considered as one of the first magazines to publish about outsider art. In its 50th issue of Spring 2005, it published the work of Nek Chand. One of the sculpture, Woman by the Waterfall, was published on the front page of its anniversary publication. The notion of art or raw art was of works that were in their raw state as regards cultural and artistic influences. Anything and everything from a tin to a sink to a broken down car could be material for a work of art. Something Nek Chand has taken to dizzying height, recognizing his art as an outstanding testimony of the difference a single man can make when he lives his dream. The Swiss Commission for UNESCO will be honoring him by way of a European exposition of his works. The 5-month interaction show, Realm of Nek Chand, beginning October, will be held at leading museums in Switzerland, Belgium, France, and Italy. The biggest reward is walking through the garden and seeing people enjoy my creation, Nek Chand says. The belief of Nek Chand in raw art meant anything that was in the unrefined stage, something that had not been affected by culture or art. Here, anything like a tin, a sink, or a broken car could be used for making a work of art. Nek Chand developed the art of using waste material to a very high degree. The UNESCO Commission in Switzerland had accepted the work of Nek Chand as brilliant work. It said that his work is an evidence about the difference a single man can make when he follows his dreams. To honor Nek Chand, UNESCO organized an exhibition of his works in Europe. This exhibition had been named Realms, means a kingdom of Nek Chand. The exhibition had been lasted for a period of 5 months, starting from October of that same year, and the exhibition was held into the museums of Switzerland, Belgium, France, and Italy. Nek Chand said that the biggest reward for him is to see people walking through the rock garden to enjoy his sculptures. Now here from this slide, children, I have given question answer, textual as well as extra. This you need to write in your notebook and learn well about the for your exams. Thank you.